Tribe? How you guys doing? This is gonna be your Big Brother review for our what's this the fourth um nomination ceremony. So we left off the other night. We didn't know who was HOH. Of course, you could follow the feeds and all that good stuff, and you found out that Enzo won. It came down. It was really between Enzo and Kesar, and which he really needed to win to kind of save his butt, but whatever, didn't happen. Enzo won. Now we know, just as I predicted, Danny threw that little vote out there to try to turn the house, to try to flip the house, or she was really trying to get people to think it was Bailey and Day. But Cody sees her because Cody was like, "Well, you came to me and asked me to do it, and it happens." Um, and she's really just trying to turn it on anybody who they're believable. Now, that's what we get, and of course Dave was like, "It ain't me, I put it on my daughter." You know, Kevin was like, "It ain't me, I put it on everything, it wasn't me." And so it's sort of not working out the way Danny wants it to work out, because Cody told her straight to her face, like, "I think it was you." And she was like, "You think it was me? Why do you think it's me? Why would you think?" And Cody was like, "Because I think it's you. Because you tried to get me to do it, and you ain't do it." So, and of course Enzo know he did it, but Enzo's playing stupid too, and he had a whole conversation with Cody. Enzo is a walking contradiction, because you had this whole conversation with Cody, and you talking about how Cody is your ace, you trust him, that's who you riding with all the way to the end. But when Cody was talking to you about the whole situation about the voting with Danny and stuff, you ain't confiding him that you were the other vote, and that, yeah, Danny did try to get me to do it. You just collected the information so you could hold on to it. And I'm not saying that's wrong. Listen, let me be clear. A secret is only a secret until you tell somebody. So I ain't mad at him for not saying anything, but at the same time, I'm just like, okay, Enzo. Then the same thing with Christmas and with Kesar. Now, you picked Christmas to be your plus one, and your reasoning was, she's not really, I don't really know her that well. We haven't talked a lot of game, but I figured this might be an opportunity to, she'll owe me one, and we can maybe connect on that. But then with Kesar, you said we haven't talked a lot of game. And your thing was, well, I'm putting him on the block because we ain't talked any game. So it's really not like your reasoning for stuff. It's just your reasoning. And again, I'm not mad at you. You play your game the way you play your game. But at the end of the day, you really just doing stuff because that's what you want to do. Like, your reasoning doesn't make sense. Now we find out that Danny and Nicole are really good friends outside the house. I think that was mentioned before. And so they've sort of clicked, and they're like, besties in the house. But what I find interesting is that Danny, I'm not saying she doesn't like Nicole, but Danny is definitely using Nicole for what Nicole can do for her and what information Nicole can give her. Um, so we're gonna see how that plays out at the end of the day. We'll see how that whole thing plays out. Then, of course, we had our whole Black Lives Matter moment. And what I find interesting is that these conversations are always between the same people. It's always Davon and Kesar. And so I find that to be very interesting, that every time they show us a conversation that people are having about race, it's the same two people, the Muslim and the black girl. I appreciate the effort, Big Brother, but it comes off as pandering when the people talking about race aren't the people that really need to be having the conversation about race. Like, as a Muslim, I'm sure Kesar has dealt with his own level of discrimination. I'm sure there's a lot of stereotypes that he has dealt with, obviously with Davon. Like, so I just find it very interesting that, because even that first conversation where I think Nicole A was in the room, but she didn't say shit. She was just sitting there like. So I appreciate the effort, Big Brother. But what I need to see is, I need to see Danny in the conversation. I need to see Nicole in the conversation. Um, let Kevin be in the conversation and speak on LGBTQIA rights. Like if we're gonna do it, let's do it, and let's rip the band-aid off, and let's have some real courageous conversations. Lean into the uncomfortableness. Y'all are right there together. Ain't nowhere to go. Ain't nowhere to run. I feel like conversations need to be had. And I'm gonna leave it at that. So, what else did we find out? Okay, let's talk about David. Y'all, what's wrong with David? Like, for real, what the hell is wrong with David? So David comes in the room and they're trying to figure out who the extra vote was, right? I mean, who flipped the vote? So they're having this whole conversation. Of course, Danny's in there and she's, instigating the whole situation. So every time somebody new walks in the room, they're like, well, was it you? Did you vote? Was it you? So David walks in the room and they're asking him, and he's acting like he don't understand what the hell they talking about. What? Vote? Eviction? Who did I vote for? Huh? And he is really looking, he did the same thing that they did when when Davon was trying to talk to him about his vote and his alliance. It was just that long pause, that blank stare, that I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know who you're talking to. Help a brother out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just that whole situation. And so, what ends up happening is everybody's looking at David like, what the hell is wrong with you? And he in his confessional, he's in his feelings about it. He mad, he mad about it, talking about some how dare, why would you put me on the spot like that and trying to put me embarrass me and asking me these questions. And I'm thinking to myself, how is that embarrassing? Like, that's game. Like, that is what you do in the Big Brother house. Like, Danny knew exactly what she was doing. It's an old trick. It's been done before. Like, it's not a new concept. So play the game, David. Like, I don't, y'all. Why is he still there? Like, who was on the block with him? Nicole F or Nicole A. Like, why are you still there? Anyway, so then we had a conversation with Enzo and Christmas where they're really talking game. Enzo is like, yo, I chose you because I really want to work. And that's what it boiled down to. You wanted to work with her. You felt like she was somebody. She's a woman, so that helps. You know she's a competitor. You know she can win comps. Like, all of that stuff is what played into your decision. And it's not a bad decision. Like, I'm not a big fan of Christmas, but Christmas is definitely a good competitor. And she's going to do the damn thing, right? So, she actually has a good pulse on the whole house. And she was giving it to Enzo, like, well, in this, and so that, and such this, and so this, and so that. Like, they had a really good conversation. So we finally get down to these nominations, and Enzo decides that he's going to put Kevin up against Kesar. Now, I have no idea why he chose Kevin. I mean, other than the fact that he said Kevin never talked any game, that Kevin's always with the girls, and they haven't really built a relationship, and things like that. So part of me is just kind of like, bullshit. I really feel like Enzo is ready to backdoor somebody. Now, who? I don't know. But I really think Kevin is a pawn. Because Kevin is harmless. Why would you you going to put Kevin up over David? Anyway, that's what it is. I ain't really have a whole lot with it tonight. Because half the episode was showing the HOH competition. And it was anticlimactic. Because I already knew who was HOH. So, I mean, ain't no need going play by play of that. Enzo won. The only other thing I want y'all to pay attention to is we're at a point now where people are starting to get very homesick, especially the ones with kids. So we had Davon getting very upset, Christmas very upset. They showed a scene where Danny was upset, wanting to win HOH, wanting just some pictures and something from their family, something from home. So we're starting to get to that point where people are starting to get into that mode of feeling very homesick. Keep an eye on that. All right, that's all I got. Let me know what y'all think. Drop it in the comments. Peace.